Hey there, I'm Lainey Lipsky, parenting coach and master teacher. Parenting is hard. I totally get it, and I'm here to make it easier for you. Especially if you had a tough childhood or you've got a tough child now, I've got your back. So take a deep breath, relax, and check out this clip from my coaching group this week. And remember to hit like and subscribe if you like my vibe. Let's get started. I've been listening to a lot of good stuff lately. I've been listening to and reading all about flow states and about people's different experiences with flow state. And if you're not familiar with a state of flow, it's if you've ever had the experience where you've been so immersed in whatever it is that you're doing, it can really be anything. It can be writing, it can be cooking, it can be anything that's usually pleasurable and a little bit challenging, like the right amount of challenge. You lose track of time. You look up from doing it and, an hour has passed and it felt like 5 minutes, and yet you feel refreshed and revived. That's what flow is. And it's been studied, and the elements of it have been studied. And I just really enjoy listening to people talk about flow and how I'm always thinking about how these things can be applied to parenting. And I'm really interested in those flow states that we achieve when we're with our kids. And I know that when they're younger, like when they're babies, some of us achieve that when if we're nursing an infant, or if we're just gazing into their eyes and we're a first time parent and we're feeling good about that. And sometimes it's when they're older and we're playing with them and we're in such a state of play that we lose track of time. And sometimes, if we're watching them do something, it can be a state of flow for us. But it's not that common, I don't find, for parents to get into a flow state in their parenting roles. And that's something that I'm really interested in seeking out, uh, solutions to that and ways to help people feel like they're purely enjoying their parenting and their parenting moments. And I think so much is that it's the same kind of repetition day after day that we do as parents, but at the same time, there's so many X factors. A child may respond one way one day to something, and then we do the same thing the next day and they respond a different way. And so there's a lot of variables in there. But one of my favorite ways to help parents get into flow, and one of the ways that I love, it's just getting more and more affirmed for me as I'm reading more and more, is getting into play, getting into a state of play with our kids or around our kids helps bring our brains into a state of flow. So even if we're not able to achieve optimal levels of flow just by, let's be real, like playing Candyland a million times or playing Uno a million times, or kids are begging us when they're younger to play what is it, tag with them, right? It's hard to make flow happen if we're not really into it. But those times that we sink into it with our kids, that's to me the most frequent way that parents get into flow with their kids. And so for me, what I'm trying to explain here is that play is the conduit, play is the key that unlocks the possibility of flow with our kids, because a lot of other things are not able to be as pleasurable. If you're somebody who loves cooking, day in and day out, maybe parenting is nirvana for you because you're just constantly, creating food and thinking about food and whatever, and that's totally possible. That's not true for me. I'm not much of a cook, and I'm not somebody who loves it that much, but I definitely love to play. And so I'm constantly trying to make things into games in my family and bring my kids into that energy. And so things just flow better, right? That phrase comes from a place. So it puts us all into a state of flow. I know some people get into a state of flow, speaking of flow, when they're meditating. Um, and what I know about that is that that's like the highest level, if you will, of meditation. And, as I heard myself say, that highest level, I think there's not really like highest levels, but the people I know who have been practicing the longest, I suppose, are people who describe being able to achieve a state of flow through their meditations. To be honest, I don't do that. It's not, if it happens, great one day, but that's not even a goal of mine. That's not even something that I'm going after. If I have a goal, if anything in meditation, it is to learn how to bring myself into a state of calm observation on command. And the reason that's so important for me to learn how to do that and why I love sharing it with you guys is because I was raised in such a highly reactive environment, and I was raised to be a highly reactive person, and my temperament definitely lends itself well to being highly reactive. You know, easily triggered and I'm easily startled, right? And I was a sensitive kid who grew up with a lot of uh, unpredictable things happening around me. And so I was really often in a state of um, high alert because that's how I learned to be. And that when I became a parent, that part of me was triggered all over again, being in high alert. And so when I started practicing stillness and I started deliberately meditating and bringing more mindfulness into my own life, my main goal was to learn how to be more responsive and less reactive. So if that resonates with you, great. That is exactly what we practice when we sit still and we bring our minds into a state of calm steadiness that we can observe our thoughts without judging them, right? It's noticing without judgment. And if you have another goal in your stillness practice, that's wonderful too. But no matter what happens in your stillness practice or whatever you're after in your stillness practice, I want to encourage you to be doing this as frequently as possible. And sitting still is it can sound like a luxury, but it doesn't have to be, you know, an hour of meditation. It can be 5 minutes, but to do it frequently throughout the day because it's not meant to last. It's not meant to be meditate for 5 minutes and the benefits last you the whole day, especially when you're just starting practice. You need to do it like washing your hands pretty frequently, right? So 3 times a day for 5 minutes each time would be a delightful way to start. I really hope this video was helpful to you. Feel free to share it and use the comments to ask a question or to request a topic for the future. We've got links below for free support with things like discipline, teaching your kids how to be more gritty, and how to be more patient with your kids, plus access to my free coaching group. So be sure to check those links out. And remember, we get one shot at parenthood. Our kids only get one shot at their childhood, so let's make it count. Click like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.